Welcome again to the 37th Annual Environmental Education Conference, The Power of Connection. So we are running our conference, this entire week through the weekend, and we're really excited. So good evening, Angiers. It's wonderful to see all of you. Like everyone else, I was hopeful last year when we signed the contract for the Crown Plaza that we'd be able to meet in person. We had vaccines that were new and exciting, case numbers were cooperating, but the world seemed to be righting itself, like we were going in the right direction. But then here we are. So we're just all thankful that Angie is a team, Angie's a family, and we're a group of like-minded people on a mission, rowing in the same direction, and we were once again able to pivot. But I don't like that word, so I'll say we were able to tap dance our way into 2022 and do some amazing things. Why isn't my slide isn't. There we go. Like our virtual conference with field experiences in 2021, our 36th annual conference certainly was different. Hugs were exchanged for "you're on mute," and sub-zero temperatures made even the hardiest of hikers put on a fourth layer of wool undies. It was really cold today. But we're a team, a family, a crew rowing in the same direction. Not only did we make it work, but we rocked it, filling 2 weeks worth of sessions and field trips, happy hours, info sessions, keynotes, and awardees. We did it. And then we moved on to the fall conference, where we asked for and received beautiful weather, for which we expressed gratitude. Completed a community art project, which would be auctioned off this year, more on the auction later. Had sessions which included art, fishing, horseshoe crabs, yes, live horseshoe crabs from Cape May, meditation walks, and wonderful vendors. Now, I'm not going to lie, 2021 was extra. My kids were home doing school. I was at home doing work. We got a dog. I don't know what I was thinking. We're all just tired. I feel like Uma Thurman looks in this photo. 2022 was supposed to bring such promise, right? But like Dwight in this photo, I have no idea what year it is. Is it 2022? Where'd 2020 go? I don't know. And full disclosure, my daughter goes to the University of Scranton, so I have to have the office jokes and everything I do. But despite all this, we have to build anew and keep looking forward. So the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that's from a quote from Dan Millman, who is a gymnast. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a gymnast, so I follow lots of those folks. Coach and lecturer who has many inspirational novels. He's a great inspiration. So in looking forward, we must ask for help, always, right? And our help came from our generous sponsors for this year's conference, making that progress forward so much easier. So thank you to PSD&G, a steady sponsor for about 10 years now, New Jersey Natural Gas, our anonymous donor, who is a friend to environmental education, and then in particular, our field experience sponsors, BASF, and Grounds for Sculpture. More on them in a little bit. So our field experiences are one way that we can safely continue to connect with friends and colleagues. This year, not only do we have a wonderful array of trips, but our generous sponsors have added some goodies. So thanks to BASF, we have this marvelous mug that you will get if you attend a workshop at the School of Conservation. We have tickets to Grounds for Sculpture. So anyone who attends a field experience will be put into our drawing to win 2 tickets to their new exhibition, Night Forms, Dream Loop by Clip Collective, There'll be 8 winners in all. So you can have a nice night out at Grounds for Sculpture. And lastly, anyone who attends a field experience will receive this cool string backpack. You have until Wednesday at 4 p.m. to register for all the field experiences. So if you're waiting on the weather, you're looking for the weather report, just know that you have to register by Wednesday at 4. And you'll get information about the field experiences from the trip leaders themselves, not from Beth or myself. So, and as most of you know, we usually hold a live auction at our annual winter conference. So again, since we're online this year, and Bidding for Good worked so well last year, that is the platform we are using again. So our link is in the email that Beth sent to all of you. It is also on the website in the upper right-hand corner, our online auction, and we have great prizes this year. Everything from David Alexander's Hop into Action, we've got ceramic bird feeders, we've got Aveda products, we've got many authors in our midst who wrote books. We have our community project. So Liz Jackson from DEP is taking all of our squares that we made. She is creating 2 throws and 2 pillows. So there's actually two separate prizes at this year's auction, so which will be really cool. And again, all that money goes back to Angie for scholarships. We do have some folks attending workshops and field trips on scholarship this year, and other great programs, as well as just our operating. Bidding for Good isn't free. Your membership isn't free. Beth isn't free. We have to pay her too. So any support you can give us is greatly appreciated. And each year we recognize members of the environmental education community that have passed on in the previous year. Although there's a glimmer of light at the end of our pandemic tunnel, I know that many of us have continued to lose loved ones, friends, and colleagues. So let us just take a moment to acknowledge all of those that have passed, our deepest condolences, and to everyone who has dealt with loss in this past year. Thank you very much. And on to our Angie night. So Angie night, it says 6 o'clock on the schedule, but really we'll probably start at 6:05 because we've got another wonderful presentation up right up until 6, so we don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So Angie night is a night, if you're not familiar with the organization, to learn a little bit more about us, hang out, grab your favorite beverage. You can even eat on camera. It doesn't matter because we don't record this one. Most of the Angie board, other members will be there to ask questions, whatnot. There's going to be some silliness. I'm working with a few people to kind of develop some games. And we're just going to have fun and hang out, casual night. So we hope that you will all join us for a little bit Thursday evening for Angie night to learn more about the organization and some of our initiatives moving forward, including regional activities, our Angie retreat, and some of the spring forums online things that we want to do this year. And then, of course, the easiest way to support the organization is to become a member. I realized that to sign up for the conference, you needed to at least be a subscriber, meaning you get our newsletter, but really the best way to support is through membership. And so we have a tradition at Angie, here at Angie conferences, where everyone usually gets on their feet and raises their hand about how many years they've been attending the conference. So instead of doing that, what I would to quickly do is think about how many winter Angie conferences you have attended and quickly just type that in the chat. scroll to the bottom. All right, we've got 26. First conference, we've got 7. 1. See, 22. Let's see, lots. Oh, we've got such a good mix. We've got people that this is their first conference, 10 or 12 conferences, 25. This is probably, I skipped a couple because I had babies, but I want to say it's probably my 20th conference. 13 for Erin. Excellent. Awesome. Have any of you attended any of our fall conferences? How many fall conferences have you attended? Now here's a hint, there's only been 5, so you can't say 25. Fall conferences? How many fall? Let's see. Got 4, maybe 5, all 5. Excellent, 4 or 5. That's great. So we're so excited to have all of you back, and to those of you who are new, we hope that you find lots of great things about our conference to share. All right, so our volunteers of the year, we've got 3 folks that we need to recognize for their years of service, and you will be getting your little pins in the mail. So first off, we have Miss Ann Price, who, according to our records, has been volunteering with Angie for 10 years. Let's give it up for Ann. Woohoo! Our next person is Liz Johnson. I don't know if Liz is on the call today, but Liz has been doing work for Angie for 30 years, according to our records. How that's humanly possible, I don't know, but that's what our records indicate. So congratulations, Liz. Liz has been a president a couple times on our planning committee. She's done a lot of work. And lastly is a special award that we give. It's called our Oak Tree Award, because many of you know that our state tree is the red oak. And it's a very strong tree, deep foundational roots. So this person is someone who, you know, kind of exemplifies that Angie teamwork and really does some great work and just continues to drive forward the Angie mission. This person is also currently on our board, serving as our conference and programs chair. It is Laura Mccluskey. So thank you, Laura, again for you know, your continued work. She did a lot of work for the fall conference, arranging all of those speakers. She did a lot of work for this conference, reaching out and arranging speakers. So we are very grateful to all of your hard work, all 3 of you. And we look forward to many more years working together. And now I'm going to hand it over to Pat Heaney, who's going to talk about our Excellence in Environmental Education Awards and talk about our awardees. Take it away, Pat.
Thank you, Kelly. Good evening, everyone, and welcome in. This year we have 3 outstanding awardees, and we'll get to meet them in just a few moments. And, you know, usually we would have a lovely dinner where we'd all get together and we'd hand out the awards and we'd all clap and have lots of fun. And this is the 2nd year that we haven't been able to do that, but we really are still hoping, fingers crossed, that perhaps in the warm weather we could do something, maybe outdoors. We could have some kind of get together. And I haven't forgotten that last year's awardees, the 2020 awardees, I also we owe you a dinner too. And this year's, we owe you all a dinner. It will happen. We will get together. We haven't forgotten you, but for tonight, we can do this. So I want to start with our Excellence in Education, our formal awardee. And can you go to the next slide, Kelly? Thank you. This is our Outstanding Environmental Educator in the formal sector. And formal sector, what that means is someone who works in a school. And this year's honoree works at Morristown High School. And she's been there, I think, 18 years, but she'll correct me if that's wrong. And she's also a Girl Scout leader. So I want to introduce you all to Stacy Spencer.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Yes, I have been at Morris School District for about 18 years, but total teaching is about 23. So started back when we still had risographs and before the internet, World Wide Web, gave us a plethora of resources at our fingertips. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It is a great honor tonight to receive the Angie Outstanding Educator Award for 2021. In all honesty, I don't feel like I earned it. I know I am not the only educator to put my heart and soul into creating diversified lessons that my students can relate to. I am not the only teacher who stays up late revamping last year's lessons in search of better activities that will hold their interests and foster their critical thinking skills. Last summer, yes, I voluntarily attended 30 hours of training for AP Environmental Science project-based learning, and an additional 30 hours with MIT and Penn State Biograph, teaching biology through systems, models, and argumentation. I not only did it for myself, but my students in an attempt to bring more meaningful experiences into the classroom. Teaching AP Environmental Science very much feels like doom and gloom at times. The impact we have on ecosystems and the health of the earth, it's saddening. However, I always try to instill in my students the small lifestyle changes that we can make clearly will have a difference. It doesn't have to be drastic or life-changing. We started the school year with calculating our ecological footprints and brainstorming how they could be reduced. And we're quickly approaching our unit on municipal solid waste. Some of the students scoff at my reusable water bottles and my lunch containers and my lunch bags, but I'll be the one laughing in a few weeks when they're carrying their trash to and from school for an entire week. And when it starts filling up, because I have several that are daily Dunkin' and Starbucks visitors, it's going to weigh them down, and then they'll switch to their reusable containers. They'll sort it, weigh it, determine what's recyclable, what's not, and take a look and see what other changes can be made in our life, daily decisions. Over the past few years, my students and I have began a school-wide recycling program because we weren't doing a very good job at it. We encouraged others to reduce their waste by selling reusable water bottles, straws, and shopping bags. With those proceeds, we purchased more than 55 recycling bins for classrooms and offices in our high school that were not equipped. We've helped out at the Winter Farmers Market by Grow It Green, Morristown. We've participated in the Morristown Clean Communities biannual events. And we've even gone as far as collecting used mascara wands for Wildlife. Got a huge turnout for that. I feel many of you have surpassed my accomplishments in and out of the classroom, and you should probably be here instead of me receiving this beautiful award. But it's blurring on me. I'm very blessed to be working with Erin and Christina, who nominated me for this award. They are my sounding board for new ideas. They keep me grounded when I expect too much of myself. They lend a hand when I need it and give encouragement when my activity did not go quite as planned. And I'm sure you've all experienced that in the classroom. It's been a doozy of the last few years, but definitely, my colleagues in the trenches, we help each other get through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacy. Congratulations to you. And you are right. it is hard to pick one person. And we said this on our committee. We said, oh, we want to give every teacher an award this year, because those of us who aren't in the classroom can't even imagine. So thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Kelly, I don't know if you have the slides or we're going to go right to, yes. Let's give Stacy a big hand. Yay, you can hear us all. We're really doing it, Stacy. Okay, our next awardee actually is in two categories. We normally do one for the non-formal sector, and that is for someone who works not in the classroom, usually either a nature center, a museum, or aquarium, or in this case, on a boat. So it could be anywhere. But this year we had an outstanding educator, and this is Evangelina Paredes, who not only works in the classroom, and she's a science teacher, middle school science teacher at Gill St. Bernard School. She's also one of the NGSS science teacher leaders in New Jersey. And in her summers, she keeps busy as the director of education for Sea Smart Oceans, where she uses her scuba skills to teach environmental education on the water. So I'd like to introduce you to Eva. So let's unmute you, Eva. Let me find you so I can spotlight you. There you are. And let me pin you. Spotlight for everyone. There she is.
Hi, can you hear me okay, Pat?
We can.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ava. And as Pat said, I'm a science teacher, I'm a middle school science teacher. And I am very thankful and truly honored to receive this award today. Like Stacy said before, I feel like every educator deserves this award, but I'm just really thankful and honored to receive it today. I would like to thank my incredible peers and mentors for nominating me, who are Tanya Solakowski, Lynn Prosen, Doug Larkin, and Lisa McIntyre. I started thinking about all these amazing people and how lucky I have been to be able to share some of my professional career with them. All of them have been openly share their knowledge about education and the natural world. They all care about educating children and adults alike to become better global citizens by learning about the world around them, by promoting conservation efforts and partaking in immersive experiences. Their excitement and passion for the natural world has pushed me to continue learning how to pass on that passion and understanding to my own students. This year has been hard for all educators, and I feel like this award has lifted my spirits a bit to continue to work hard to better serve my students. It has reminded me that all the small and big accomplishments that my students have reached and continue to reach every day, which is the reason I teach. Angie's goal is to embed environmental education in order for students and adults to understand the immense amount of connections that humans have with the natural environment. I believe that Angie's goals is so critical to teach to today's youth because they are the future generations that are going to have to deal with all the negative ways in which we have compromised our natural environment. Students often hear negative news about the environment. Therefore, I believe that it's just as important for us educators to remind our students that it is not too late to make a positive impact and create change. We have the power to excite them about the opportunities that these problems will present. We need to introduce them to professionals in the fields such as science, technology, and engineering that are taking incredible steps to find sustainable ways to use our resources. We need to remind our students that those driven, curious, and groundbreaking professionals can one day be them. Thank you so much, Angie, for this award and everyone for your time, and I hope to continue to grow and learn with this organization. Here is the award.
Oops, very nice. Ah, there we go. You can kind of see it. It goes in and out. Beautiful. Eva, congratulations to you. Everyone give Eva a big hand.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
All Okay. Did I remove spotlight? I think I did. All right. Congratulations, Eva. And next we have the Pat Skelly Community Award. And the Pat Skelly Community Award is in honor of Pat Skelly, in memory of Pat, who was on our board for many, many years, was the president of Angie more than once, and was a great advocate for environmental education. She did a lot of our advocacy work, went to Trenton and went to Washington and all over to advocate for the environment and specifically for education. And this award is in honor of her. And the community award always goes to a volunteer group, a group of people who work together as volunteers to do environmental education. And this year, we're so excited to give it to an EC, an environmental commission, because it's the first time we've done that. So Kelly Wenzel, thank you very much for nominating the Caldwell Environmental Commission, and representing the commission is Ann Marchione. So let's get Ann up here. Where'd she go? I just lost it. I'm trying to find you again.
Okay, I am muted. I am muted.
And now I can spotlight you for everyone.
Thank you.
Or maybe someone else did that. Kelly, did you do that? Is she spotlighted for everyone?
You're still on the main screen.
All right.
So is there something I need to do?
No, I need to do it. I couldn't find your,
There you go.
There you go. Spotlight for everyone. There you go. Now
Very
everyone
good.
should see it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to say to the other two awardees, I'm thrilled. I'm almost like, wish I could go back to school and take your classes, okay? I am a former middle school teacher, okay? And I had tried to implement a lot of environmental education into my science classes for middle school. Okay, thank you, Kelly, for nominating us for this award. Pat Skelly, who was a member of the Bordentown Environmental Commission, there's an affinity right there, and a lawyer, was a wonderful environmentalist. I did read some things about her. We are so honored to receive an award in her memory. One of my professors at graduate school said, the way to encourage people to care about the environment is to become involved in your town. So silly me. I actually, when I graduated, I met with the mayor to volunteer for the Caldwell Environmental Commission, and I've been there for many years. My commission has wonderful volunteers. I decided to do an analysis of who they are, okay? They include a former vice president for human resources, an environmental lawyer, a nun, science and language teachers, IT professionals, humanities supervisor, former software implementation manager. I'm so impressed with all of these people. All of them are interested in creating a better environment for Caldwell. Two organizations have been outstanding in their help for us as a commission. The first is Sustainable Jersey. We are bronze certified for the third time, and then also the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions. Both of these organizations have provided financial and educational support for us. Sustainable Jersey and the PSEG Foundation provided a $20,000 grant to work with Dr. Chris Abrupta from the Rutgers Water Resources Department to develop green infrastructure. Caldwell's had a lot of flooding, so these are some tools that we can help the residents actually put into practice on their property. We actually constructed 2 rain gardens in Caldwell. Many volunteers assisted with that development, thanks, and they include a council person, master gardeners of Essex County, members of the First Presbyterian Church of Caldwell. So if you come through Caldwell, the First Presbyterian Church is the big imposing church right near Roseland Ave. It's right facing Bloomfield Avenue. So that's really exciting. So the community can actually see the rain garden. Okay. And of course, Caldwell Environmental Commissioners help too. Angie has been wonderful They have a program called an open space grant, and the Caldwell Pollinator Garden was built on an open space property. So we have received 2 grants from them to develop it. It is a 7,000 square foot space with a meadow right in the middle of it. All the plants are chemical free and native. And we had, to begin it, to get cleared off, we had high school students, Boy Scouts, college students help us get rid of the weeds and prepare the soil. That was about 6 years ago. And in the meantime, we received a Blue Ribbon Award from the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. That's the society that runs the Philadelphia Flower Show. It has been maintained for 5 years by volunteers from the Master Gardeners of Essex County. See, we are thrilled with their support. Boy Scouts have also assisted in this development. They did the pathways through the garden. And then also we had a little library constructed right in front of it. So this is a source of information for people along the street. And I have to thank David Alexander, one of your folks, who assisted the Scout for the little library project. And to encourage our people in town to do their own gardens, we distributed 250 chemical-free native pollinator seed packets this fall. So I have my fingers crossed that hopefully in the spring, some of the seeds will come up and we'll have more pollinator patches rather. Webinars have been funded by the Caldwell, West Caldwell, Kiwanis. Angie was helpful in that. New Jersey Audubon, the Caldwell Library, Bergen County Audubon, Watchung Booksellers, and Grover Cleveland Park Conservancy. We were very fortunate to have a gentleman, Richard Louvre, to come in the spring, and he spoke about his book, essentially getting children outside to enjoy nature. Other groups that have assisted us with our projects are the West Essex Ministerial Association. Who knew there were green teams in churches? So of course I was lucky to tap into some of them, and they help us spreading the message also. And we also work with the ecology clubs. Thank you, teachers, again. Ecology clubs at Grover Cleveland Middle School, James Caldwell High School, Mount St. Dominic Academy, and Caldwell University. They too got the seed packets, so fingers crossed, maybe we'll have some gardens there too. Now, I would like to invite you to hear in May, Dr. Doug Tallamy. He has a wonderful book, The Nature of Oaks. We've had him twice before, once in person. I wish we could have him in person again, but we'll take him by webinar. That's all right too. And he's going to discuss the nature of oaks. That's on May 9th by Zoom, and I'll be working on a flyer and we'll send that out. Everybody's welcome to participate. And I'd also like to encourage you to come to our pollinator garden in early summer to experience the results of our community support there. And we appreciate everybody that I've mentioned in this little presentation. And I might give some encouragement, whatever your project, knock on the doors of community organizations for support. They just may open. And I have to share with this wonderful, now let's see if I can get it out of the box, wonderful award that you have presented us with. I'm going to present it at the next council meeting to the mayor and the council. So that's just delightful. So I thank you. I thank you for all of your work. Everybody who's on the call, you're all involved in environmental education. So that's fantastic. The planet thanks you too.
Oh, congratulations, Anne, and to the commission. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing to help spread the word. So let's give a big hand to the Environmental Commission from Caldwell, New Jersey.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And also, I think we have one more slide there to go up, Kelly. I want to thank our committee. Let's see if this goes up. Oh, yeah, one more time. Congratulations to all of you, to Stacy, to Eva, and to Anne and the Caldwell Commission. You're all so inspirational, and it's really just so wonderful that to have you there and know that this is happening out there in New Jersey. I want to thank our awards committee, and we had a nice big committee this year. So I keep asking and I got answers, just like Ann just said. So thank you to Doug Abbott, Amy Arado, Erin Colfax, Carol Fusco, who's been with me on the committee for many years, Michelle Morey, Ann Price, who I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have her on the committee, and of course, Michael Skelly for everything he's done for this last award. So thank you to the committee. Thank you to everyone. And I promise we will get together. We will raise our glasses together and have a drink at some point. So thank you again. And thank you, Kelly. I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pat. And to all the awardees, congratulations. You're all just so inspiring. And I love to hear the stories that come out every year. They're just, just such great people. And I think everyone spoke really to our theme of this year's conference, which is the power of connection. And that kind of brings me to our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker this evening is Terrell Hagler from Philadelphia. I first read about Terrell in Philadelphia Magazine, and as I read the story about a sanitation worker who didn't take the garbage slowdown in 2020 in Philadelphia lightly, I began to realize that he epitomizes the idea of the power of connection. Instead of staying, sitting around and complaining about working conditions in the department or the lack of respect for sanitation workers or just how much trash there is in Philadelphia, he went and created a persona. And the hashtag #YouFaveTrashMan on Instagram was born. Terrell learned that he has power in the people he knows in his community by creating a social platform for a topic that really no one wants to talk about. Terrell gave Philadelphians and many other folks an inside look with some comedy and what it's really like to work as a sanitation worker in the city of Philadelphia. So before Terrell introduces himself, I know he just got home, so I'm giving him a minute to breathe, to his power of connection and his work within the city of Philadelphia. I just want you all to see who you're really dealing with tonight, because this all happened within the past 24 hours, okay? So yesterday, Terrell was outside with 50 to 100 or so volunteers cleaning up this intersection in North Philadelphia. They removed 10 tons of trash. 10 tons of trash. That's crazy.
Wow.
He sent me that number this morning. I was like, 10 tons? I've filled like one canister. That's crazy. And this morning at noon, he texted me apologizing for being a little incommunicative. And I was like, don't worry about it. But by the way, he just won the 40 under 40 Changemaker Award from Waste 360. Yes, he's not busy or anything, and received congressional citation from Congressman recognizing his efforts in making the city cleaner, safer, and more beautiful place to live. I love Philadelphia. You know me, guys, I always cry. I'm a crier. It happens every year. I don't know. It is. So I'll give him a little slack, I guess, for not being the most communicative. Terrell asked me to share a little video about, it was on the news also yesterday, no big deal. But I think this story kind of highlights and introduces him well. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. Hopefully I shared it correctly so that we can all see it.
Kelly, is there sound? Because we can't hear it.
Yeah, I gotta.
Now to get the kitchen of your dreams in as little as 3 to 5 days and at a fraction of the cost of a remodel.
From Kitchen Saver, prepare to be impressed. Prepare to be impressed. Kitchen Saver.
Right now at 4:30, taking out the trash on a holiday when Philadelphia doesn't pick up garbage. Volunteers
took matters into their own hands. Some city neighborhoods have been dealing with delayed trash pickup since the start of the new year. So organizers used this MLK Day of Service to try to clean things up. NBC 10's Johnny Archer met up with one group in North Philadelphia who's really trying to make a difference, and they're doing it one block at a time. Johnny.
Jacqueline, they really are, but it's no surprise that Philly is dealing with a trash and illegal dumping problem like so many other major cities around the nation. Just look around, it's not hard to find trash on the ground. But that one man I spoke to, he is on a mission to make Philly litter-free by 2025. Dozens of volunteers showed up to clean this block in Philadelphia's Olney section at 3rd and Somerville. This is what the block looked like just 24 hours ago. Piles of trash, debris, and junk dumped on the sidewalk, blocking the path for anybody walking by.
Kids were walking in the street to avoid the trash, and that automatically did it for me. And I said, we have to come and impact this block and make sure that the kids at least can walk on the street. Walk on the pavement and not walk in the street.
Terrell Hagler, better known on social media as your fave trash man, is on a mission to clean up these streets. On MLK Day, he coordinated this effort, getting about 50 volunteers to help.
My mission is to start with the trash, clean every block, and give resources to these communities who feel unseen, who feel voiceless, who feel like city government has forgotten about them.
The city dealing with its own problems. The Streets Department sending out this tweet earlier in the month saying, currently we are experiencing slight delays in trash collection and recycling is a day or more behind in some areas. We foresee these challenges moving into the following weeks as we work through COVID-19 infections and quarantining in our workforce. City records show 61 to 70% of the Streets Department reports being vaccinated as of last Tuesday. Mayor Jim Kenney planning on enacting a vaccine mandate for all city employees starting next Monday, which has already been delayed and getting pushback from several local unions. Regardless of the city's obstacles, people living in this Olney neighborhood are happy to see the community stepping up.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I was out here just in awe. I'm ecstatic. You have no idea.
Yeah, they really did an amazing job today in that neighborhood there. But Jacqueline, going back to the vaccine mandate, the mayor's office tells me that nearly 81% of the city employees are vaccinated or at least approved for an exemption, but the city is still negotiating that mandate with local fire and police unions here in Philadelphia. Reporting live from North Philly, Johnny Archer, NBC 10 News.
It has forgotten about them.
The city dealing with its own problem.
Sorry. All right, everyone. So that's a little bit about Terrell, his famous 24 hours. And without further ado, I think, Pat, if you can spotlight Terrell, he is on. And Terrell, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Thanks for having me. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that the last 24 hours has been what the last 20 months has looked like for me. Just a little bit about me. I was a sanitation worker. I started in December of 2019. And as we all know, by March 2020, COVID had hit. And immediately, sanitation workers started catching COVID, and we could not figure out why and what was going on. And then I realized one day that it's because we sit so close in the truck. There's 3 people to a truck, and we sit 6 inches apart. So if I'm grabbing something that someone's blowing into their tissues and they have COVID, when I go to pick it up in the middle of the summer and it's been sitting out for 3 days, I'm the first person that's coming in contact with contaminated waste, basically. And we didn't have any PPE. So a lot of articles were coming out on why the trash delays were so bad. And all of them were blaming sanitation workers. And I'm like, how can you blame us? We come to work every day. You guys are at home on Zoom and we're out in the streets. And when I went to my higher ups, they didn't want to engage in the media. They didn't want to respond. So June 17th, I created my Instagram and I just wanted to show some insight on the life of a sanitation worker to maybe shift the atmosphere and shift the perspective of the residents in Philadelphia on why and what is going on with trash, because the streets department, again, did a horrible job of communicating. And just give you a little background, I do have a theater background. So I've been doing theater and dance my whole life. I danced off Broadway. I made Spider-Man on Broadway and stuff. So if I get a little theatrical, just tell me, calm down. So when I created the Instagram, it was a way for me to connect to residents in Philadelphia. Like, hey, this is what's happening to us on the job. This is what's happening to you not getting your trash picked up. Instead of yelling at each other, let's work together and let's figure it out together. But my main thing is, let's do it with grace. Let's do it with understanding. Let's not, I had a gun pulled out on me on Monday on my route over trash because he was so upset that we were late and that we couldn't take everything because it wasn't properly put out and it wasn't properly tied and it wasn't properly broke down. And he pulled a gun out of it. So at that moment, I knew like I had to do more. So what I started doing was selling t-shirts on Instagram to raise money for PPE and cleaning supplies for us to stay safe. I have 3 kids. They're 10, 9, and 5 now. And my mother passed away November 1st of 2020. She had an asthma attack so bad that it caused cardiac arrest. So asthma runs in our family. COVID being a respiratory attacker, I didn't want to play with my kids or myself. So when I started selling t-shirts, that's when this whole your fave trash, I tell people I accidentally went viral. I thought I was going to get on Instagram, get 500 followers, tell a few jokes, show people a few trash piles, and just, let people know what we're going through and just to have grace. And I ended up selling 2,022 t-shirts, raising $32,000 in 4 weeks to buy PPE and cleaning supplies. And through that whole time, everyone started reaching out. I ended up on David Muir. Then I ended up on Kelly Clarkson. Then I ended up on Good Morning America. And I'm like, okay, I mean, if we're going to care this much about trash, then hey, I love it. Let's go. Let's talk about it. And then what changed for me was a state rep here in Philly reached out to me and said, all I do is get complaints about trash. Why is it so bad? And me being joking was like, well, won't you do a route? Won't you throw trash for a day? And then you'll figure out why they're complaining so bad. And he took me up on my offer. So he actually got on the route and threw trash for a whole entire shift. And he has since then been my #1 trash ambassador in Philadelphia because he understood, both sides of it, that, residents don't always put their trash out right, but also sanitation workers go through a lot. So last January, we came together and we did a cleanup in the neighborhood in his district in Northeast Philly. Had about 50 people come out and we drove around with a trash truck picking up all illegal dump sites, couches, tires, paint, you name it, we took it. And the immediate response from the community was overwhelming. People then the next week came outside and for the first time that I've ever seen and swept their steps on a Saturday morning. So right off the bat, I realized that when you ignite something in a community and you just make the first move, it does something to them. And then for him, it's bringing him and his constituents together. He's like more famous than me walking around in Northeast. Because he's getting stuff done when it comes to trash. So to fast forward a little bit, because I know we're talking about connection, a lot of my work and a lot of my efforts start with trash, but they don't end there. Me being a Black male in Philadelphia, I understand gun violence is one of the hottest topics in the city right now. And I always say, if you take the map of all the zip codes that have the highest amount of gun violence, and you take the litter index from 2019 and you take the dirtiest parts of the city and you put them together, you'll be surprised that probably about 85% of the map lines up. So the dirtiest parts of the city also are the highest, have the highest gun violence in the city. And that's a connection that I'm really trying to get residents to understand, local elected officials, and just anybody who would listen, that if we start with the trash and we start cleaning and we start a behavioral change in our communities, no matter where you are, we know, Center City and Northeast looks nothing like North Philly and West. And we have to understand why. And then after understanding why, we then can make the connection on how to fix it. So I've had a lot of conversations recently with a lot of community members on connecting those dots, connecting trash to gun violence, to food insecurity, to education, to homelessness. And I love this quote. Someone just recently told me this quote, that trying to fix all those problems as a separate issue is like pinching water. When you pinch water, you don't do nothing but just spread the water around. You're not really making impact. But if you pick the whole bowl up, then you're able to shift the water to where you need it to go. So I just love to use trash as a vehicle to get people to understand that that block that we cleaned yesterday, all the drug dealers are not coming back because they have nowhere to hide. And then if they don't come back, that gives the community an opportunity to plant flowers. And if those community people plant flowers, then somebody might build a bench. And then little by little, we're creating a green space from just picking up trash. And so it's really interesting to me to be in these spaces right now when I talk about, if you keep your neighborhood clean, you literally feel better. Your body releases endorphins that make you happy when you wake up and you see a clean street. And then you add the pressure of COVID and you add the pressure of virtual school. I told you I have 3 kids. My kids were all virtual last week. My son is 9 years old and he's on the spectrum for autism. Watching him suffer through Zoom school is one of the hardest things because he just doesn't understand. He needs the structure. He needs the placement. He needs the different environment. He doesn't understand that he's not at home, so he can't play with his Nintendo because you're supposed to be technically in school, like all those things, but we got to stay safe. And imagine if the school district would go in and change the ventilation systems and actually get the asbestos out the schools and actually we spend all this money on development and rehabbing, but we refuse to rehab our schools. So even then, cleaning the school buildings literally would shift so many kids into being in school because there's better ventilation systems and they could, you see what I'm like, I'm babbling right now, but all those things to me is a connection to how we get Philly better. Because at the end of the day, we could be the cleanest city, we could be the safest city, but we want Philly to be better. We want people to thrive and not survive. And so that's the whole mission behind my efforts. That's the whole mission on me just cleaning Philadelphia one block at a time. I hosted 43 cleanups last year, and I picked up 147 tons of trash off the streets of Philadelphia. And like people like, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, I can't really tell. I can't really tell that I picked it up. So I mean, I feel good right now, but I know there's so much more work to do. But if we all did it together, if I did it with this group and then this group did it with that group, and then we all came together and we all decided to say yes to zero litter. We all bought in, I'm a big sports fan. When the Eagles coach just came in, you know, in the beginning of the year, he had to get the star players to buy into the system. Once he got the star players to buy in, the rest of the team bought in. And right now, I feel like our star player being the mayor, he hasn't bought into the system. So the rest of the team being city council is like, well, we're just going to do our own thing because, you know, Ben Simmons doesn't want to play this year. So I always find ways to make a Ben Simmons joke too. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about my thought about connection, is that if you decide to buy in, and if you decide to make this a passion, make this an agenda for you, you can then connect it to other parts of your life. If you are that's what I want to say, if you guys are school teachers, and if you challenge your kids to pick up one bag of trash on their way home every day, right? And then you got 20 students doing it, and then 40 students, and then 50 students. Now you have a whole school going home and then picking up a bag of trash on their way home. Imagine what the surrounding neighborhood would start to look like. And that's how I like to make the connection to everybody. And there's some type of trash or some version of trash in everybody's industry, whether you're corporate, entrepreneurial, you work for the city, you work for yourself, retail, there's some type of trash that needs to be cleaned. And if we can all connect our one issue of just cleaning our immediate surroundings and cleaning our immediate control, is what I call. If you clean your immediate control, it starts the domino effect to other things, because your immediate control affects something else. So for example, I wrote a children's book. My kids did not like that I was a sanitation worker. They hated it. I could not pick them up in front of the school. I had to park around the corner. They would walk to me. And then, like, when people were asking, like, hey, did we see your dad on the news? They were like, oh no, my dad, he's a karate teacher. He's not a sanitation worker. And actually, my daughter, my oldest daughter's teacher called me, was like, hey, would you like to come in? She tells us that you you fly planes for a living. I was like, I'm sorry that she told you the untruth, because I do not fly planes for a living. But it was that whole persona that the sanitation worker was, stinky and dirty. And so when I started teaching them and telling them why my job is so important, and why if daddy doesn't do his job, it makes it hard for other people to do their job. So if I don't go and pick up the trash on the ground, the postman, this is for my kids, I said the Amazon man can't bring the toys that you guys order on daddy's credit card, So that's why daddy's job is, and then it started clicking to them how everything is connected, that if I clean the street, then every other part of the city is able to do their job. So now, in my children's book, they all go to sleep and they have the same dream, and they become my new hires on the sanitation job, and I'm training them as sanitation workers throughout the book. But now, my kids been on the news a little bit. They've been, spotlighted on TV. So now when we go to Target, do you know who my dad is? Did you know my dad is your fave trash man? Did you see my dad on the news last night? And I was like, what happened to the karate teacher and the pilot? And if you ask them, they deny the whole book. I mean, they're going to say the book is a lie. My daughter said it's slander, that she never said those words. But just in that way, I was able to connect with my kids. And now when they go to school, they point out trash piles everywhere they go, to the point where they were on a walk with their class, and my daughter pointed out some litter. The teacher went back and got a broom and dustpan, and then they cleaned it up because it was around the school. So I didn't have a lot to say. I just wanted to give you my thought on how I make the connection with trash and how it leads to just having talks and conversations. I'll end with this. I actually created a curriculum for 5th graders. So I'm now doing a residency at Friends Select School in downtown Philadelphia. And I'm teaching them how to organize their own cleanup my way. So now I have 5th graders writing press releases. I have a whole social media team and brand team. So they're branding their cleanup. And then what my favorite part is I have a group of 5th graders writing letters to their elected officials, inviting them to the cleanup and explaining to them the issues that they see in their district. And I mean, how powerful is it for a 5th grader to write? I do have a website, it's yourfavetrashman.com. But how powerful is it for 5th graders to be writing to their elected officials, hey, 3 blocks and 2 blocks and near our school are dirty, and they've been dirty for like months now, and we're going to clean it up. But we invite you to come clean it up with us. But then then I had them set expectations for your elected officials. What's the timeline on getting cameras added so that we don't have to keep cleaning this? And so that's like what I do. When I do a cleanup, I then go public, and whoever's district I am, I'm saying, now, can you please give me some follow through? What's your timeline on getting some cameras and some street lights? So the cleanup that we did yesterday, there's a church on the corner, and the pastor came out and said that pile had been sitting there for almost 2 years, and that they had put in over 45 311 tickets. And the streets department just kept closing them out. They had multiple meetings with both city council women who run that district, Sherelle Parker and Cindy Bass, and they just wasn't getting anything done. And I like to tell people, well, I kind of have a platform. I'm new to this space, to the sustainability space, but I have the biggest megaphone right now, to the point where I got a congressman to put boots on and toss trash for an hour and a half yesterday. And he did surprise me. He did give me the certificate. I think that's why he really came. But I told him, don't come in your photo op stuff, because you're just going to mess your good shoes up, because you're going to work. You're going to throw some trash. And anybody knows, if they come to your fave trash man cleanup and you don't clean, I'm definitely going to shout you out, for sure. Not in a good way either. I have close to 30,000 followers on Instagram, and they're super active. And every time I do a call to action, my followers are right there. They're doing it. They're doing the campaigns. They're raising money for my nonprofit. With the nonprofit, because I also do a lot of other things. So I've held 2 expungement clinics and job fairs already. I believe that, another way to clean our streets is to get all those guys and girls off the corner, but they're on the corner because they don't have anything to do. So, and most times they have records. So if they can't apply for a job at Penn or Temple or Drexel because they have a record. And if you get the record expunged, then they can apply for those jobs. I also write grants to send kids to trade school, because college isn't for everybody. I tried college for a year. I dropped out and joined a dance company. That was cool. And then when I had my first daughter, I realized that 1099 life doesn't go well with kids. Those are 2 things that don't connect. So I started looking for jobs and stuff. And one of my jobs was working as a demolition. I work for a demolition crew, but that's a skill, that's a trade. So my nonprofit, we just try to connect community to thrival mode. We want anything you need in your community, whether it's food, jobs, cleanings, most of the time. We want to just connect and make sure that you feel heard and seen. And that's about it, because I'll just keep talking about trash and how crooked the streets department is, and how they have more than enough money to clean the city in 19 months, but they choose not to. But I wanted to open it up because all of you guys, or some of you, may not know me. And if you guys had any questions, I would love to answer some questions or give you some insight or whatever, I'm laid back, organic. Don't got to force it.
Well, thank you, Terrell. Yes, we are laid back and organic here. So we will open it up to questions and comments in a moment. And you're getting a lot in the chat, Terrell. Everyone, wants to support you. So I put your website in there. You'll be selling probably 100 t-shirts tonight. So get prepared.
Oh, I don't. Well, okay. I don't.
You sold out of the t-shirts. You're sold out.
I'm sold out. But if you could put my nonprofit's website up, you can always give to the nonprofit. I'm always buying supplies and gloves. It's trashtotreasureinc.org. And that's my nonprofit. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to, Trash to Treasure Inc., INC. trashtotreasureinc.org. I'm trying with my nonprofit. I am on Twitter. Your fave trashman everywhere. Your fave trashman on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm writing grants right now. I just linked up with a trucking school, and I'm writing grants to send 10 kids, 10 young adults, 10 19-year-olds to trucking school, get their Class A, and go from selling drugs to driving trucks across the country. So that's like one of my main things. And also, I just myself bought a trash truck, a 25-yard rear end trash truck. I'm starting a hauling company, and I'm working with City Council to try to eliminate illegal dumping by next year, because illegal dumping can be fixed in 2 steps. And the city of Philadelphia just refuses to take those 2 steps. So I bought my own trash truck, and also the city doesn't want me to use their trash trucks anymore for my cleanups. So I had to go buy my own.
You just work the problem, right? Work it.
When you have kids, it's all about solutions.
That's right. So I think you were a great lead-in. I know that you were coming from work as we were introducing our other awardees for this evening. So I don't think you heard our awardees, but the big connection between you all is how your success, everyone that was awarded tonight, and yourself as our keynote, Terrell, has been those connections, and they're not contrived, right? They're meaningful, intentional, and well thought out, right? So it's not kind of a willy-nilly, like, oh, I'm just going to pick up some garbage and do this. It sounds like your process is very, you have it like rote. It's kind of, I don't want to say canned, but like you have a specific process that you use.
Yeah,
so what are some of your, because I know, I've organized cleanups. I've worked in the, pulled shopping carts out of the Delaware River lots of times. But, getting that support and generating that much jazz to get as much coverage as you have, it's cleaning up garbage is not very sexy. So can you just maybe give us your tips and tricks? Like, what is your process
for organizing?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to give us like an hour long, but like, what's kind of your top 10 checklist? Make sure you do these things to make the biggest impact.
Okay, so one, I always ask for permission first. I never go into a community or neighborhood without them knowing I'm coming. So I always, when I decide to do a cleanup, I go knock on doors and I ask for the block captain, because just transparently speaking, as being a Black man and living in brown and Black communities, when we have what we call like the white Jesus thing, where you just have a bunch of, white people come into your neighborhood, clean one time, high five, and go home. You're like, well, okay, thanks. So I don't want that feeling. I want to be inclusive, but also I want to show them like, it's not really hard to clean your neighborhood. And now you got to take some responsibility. They keep calling us dirty because it is dirty. So if you want to show them that you're different, you just got to do that. You have to show them. So I find the block captain and I go, hey, my name's this. I'll be cleaning this block this Saturday from 10 to 2. Would love if all the community could come out. I have this coming, I have that coming. What you didn't see yesterday is I also gave out 200 boxes of groceries at my cleanup, and we gave out 7 bags of coats. So there was a homeless shelter nearby the cleanup. So I walked 7. I had people donate coats. I told them to come with coats, and somebody brought 4 bags of brand new coats still in the plastic, and we had 200 boxes of groceries. And some of my volunteers, they just walked and dropped the groceries on people's doorsteps. They knocked on it and said, hey, we just wanted to give you a box of groceries for the week. And, you know, a couple of people cried because you don't know everybody's situation. But going that extra mile is inclusive. So now they're like, oh, wait, they're not just here as the white Jesus. They're actually here to make an impact. And that connection is why, you know, and I should stop. My manager hates it, but I just give my phone number out, and I get random people calling me like, you cleaned my block three months ago. And I anytime I see somebody drop a piece of something on the ground, I'm like, I'm gonna call your fave trash man. We're gonna jump you. You gotta pick it up. So it's like, but that's the behavioral change I want. Now you have people protective of their environment and protective of their direct surroundings and protective of their direct control. So now we got a string of blocks that care now, and it's shifting the whole neighborhood. The other thing I do is I always reach out to elected officials, whether I get an answer or not, because I am sick and tired of elected officials showing up for a photo op, and then on their Instagram or on their Twitter, they're like pictures and this and that, and you have 95,000 backed up emails and 200,000 voicemails at your office. And the last time you got back to somebody, you know, Michael Nutter was the mayor, you know? So I invite them in person, because how do you send somebody to voicemail in person? And it never fails. Every single time an elected official comes, and that's why you go to community first, and community comes, there's that one person who's like, hey, aren't you my council person? They're like, yeah, how you doing? Not well, I've been calling your office for 6 months. And I just sit there and go, see how you get out of this one. And that empowers community. That gives, now you got to answer me right now. And you still might feed me some BS, but at least I can hold you accountable to your words and not your chief of staff's email. So that's another thing that I'll always do. And the third thing, which I've kind of gotten good at, is media. My manager says, like, I'm the first person she ever saw that successfully manipulates the media. Not that you should expect any of your fave trash man scandals, because I don't have any. But I'm always in a positive light with the media, and I've made so many friends and connections with them that when there's negative stuff that like the streets department and my union tried to like blast out there that were lies, like the Enquirer refused to post it. So like somebody wrote something and said I was like stealing money and all that stuff, and it was just crazy. And the Enquirer was like, we just don't believe you. And it's like, wow, like the editor of the Enquirer chose me over, the streets department, but because I try to be trustworthy, accountable, and just transparent at all times. And I think when I'm vulnerable like that, people just buy into my system. And so I use my social media to just be vulnerable, and that's how I spread the word. And then I delegate. Anytime I post something, I tell somebody, if you're coming to the cleanup and you come by yourself, you get a 50%. You have to bring 3 people with you that's never been to a cleanup before. And that's how we ended up with 100 people yesterday. Like, I could not believe it. It had just stopped snowing, it had just stopped raining. I was like, cool, I always have a DJ, because who can clean without listening to music? And once the music started, you just saw, it was like, I felt like I was in the scene from The Lion King. You just seen like antelope coming around. I was like, oh my God, all you people are here to clean? To the point where my cleanup was supposed to be from 10 to 2. We didn't even get past 12:15 and everything was clean.
Wow.
Yeah, it took us under 2 hours or a little over 2 hours to pick up 10 tons. And that's with the guy driving the truck was another state rep, because the city said they wasn't going to give a truck. So he rented a dump truck and was driving it back and forth, paying out of pocket to dump. He spent $1,200 dumping yesterday out of his own pocket.
Wow.
Because that's in his district. But you don't think people aren't going to remember Jason Dawkins versus other people who were invited and said that they had, prior engagements and couldn't come? Because there was a lot of questions on where is such and such, where is such and such. I was like, I invited them. They just had something better to do. So I think those are like my 3 things of organizing. Always being inclusive with the community, always putting pressure on the elected officials, and always just communicating and encouraging my community to bring more people to spread the word.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes, we've had several conversations with folks on Angie. For any of you who watched The Sacrifice Zone with us, which is a film that a local community organization, Terrell, made about Newark, New Jersey, and living in the sacrifice zone. So the zone that, is given up for industry and whatnot. They also expressed, they called it something different, but the white Jesus syndrome, where, you come in and you do your thing and then you leave, and it's not authentic and it's not lasting. So that's not the first time that we've heard that as an organization. I appreciate you acknowledging that happens still, even in 2022. So I think we're all working and listening to be more authentic, and I think that's just the number one thing.
It's hard. It's hard. It's definitely hard to not do it, but that's why I like to have food, and I like to have Cokes, and I like to have snacks, and I like to have music, because it kind of is that icebreaker. The neighbors start hearing music, they come out. It's not just you open your door and people are like, how you doing? And they're sweeping your stuff. They're like, oh, okay, thanks. And close the door. You want them to no, come on out, join us. I get flyers and I put flyers in the door. And so this way it's all inclusive.
Excellent. So Pat has had her hand up for quite some time, and then I saw some questions in the chat. So I will go through those momentarily, but Pat, take the floor with your question.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. You're such an inspiration, Terrell. Because you have this great platform and because you reach so many people, I wonder if you talk about, not to put you out of a job in the trash industry, but to talk about how people can make less trash, how they can look at what they're purchasing and how it's packaged, and that we don't have to make as much trash as we do, that we don't need to have all this disposable crap that just ends up on the street, so that you don't have to do this. I wonder if that's part of your platform, or if you consider including that, things like using reusable bottles or whatever it is. Thank you.
If in the clip that Kelly played, remember my goal is 0 litter by 2025. So hopefully I'll be out of a job by 2025, where there'll be no more reasons to do cleanups. And also I'm on a few boards of some circular economy company startups here in Philadelphia, where we're really trying to bring back the sense of the milkman, where you can get a lot of your household items in glass bottles on a subscription for like $12 a month, and they'll bring everything to you. They'll come pick it up, rinse it out, reuse, and then bring it back. They're called the Rounds.co. They're a startup here in Philadelphia that just expanded to DC. And then another company is called Circular Philadelphia, where that's more of the data and analytics of circular economy. And we actually try to make connections to these big big corporations and to residents on like, hey, Tupperware, last year you used 1 billion of this. But if you just would cut 1/5 of that percent and use this how much you would save in a landfill. So that's what we do. We try to get them to see like small percentages over a period of time. You could actually flip to getting away from, you know, single-use plastics and stuff. So I'm very into zero litter, zero waste. I had an opportunity to go to Austin, Texas and walk around with their sanitation department for 2 days. The city of Austin, the whole entire city composes. And I was just blown out of my mind, like, oh, so, and then they reduced their landfill contribution by like 55% when they started composting. Because now it's a requirement. If you live in Austin, you have to compost. But also Austin has an amazing way to communicate with their residents. They send pamphlets home every 4 months on things that they're doing, just reminders. Hey, again, guys, this is how we recycle. This is how we compost. This is this is that. I mean, when's the last time you guys got any pamphlets from the streets department about recycling? Like 84, maybe? So there's Philly, we're the biggest, we're the largest city on the top 12 cities, because now Houston is a little bit bigger than us. We're the biggest city and we still manually throw our trash. Every other big city on the list has switched to semi-automatic trucks and standardized cans, standardized 30 gallon cans with wheels. And that's what they do in Austin. And Philadelphia just refuses. Baltimore just did it. Baltimore just did it 2 years ago. They spent $15 million on standardizing the cans in Baltimore. And in the first 18 months, they reduced their rat population by 95%, and they reduced their litter by like 65%. So because if it's in a can, it can't blow down the street. But we don't have cans. We put ours on a bag and put it on the ground. And then we get mad when sanitation workers rip the bag. Well, if this was in a can and they could just hook it to an arm and dump it, how can it hit the ground? But I'm being told that's kind of ludicrous to think about. So yeah, Pat.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's so many connections you don't even think about, like you just said, with the rodent population, right? Like, let's all make a web of life and add our human impact into that web and add rodents in there and our garbage, right? And
yeah, I mean, how can the rat get to your trash if it's in a can?
Absolutely, absolutely. So another question, Elizabeth Hinckley asks, after a recent visit to Philly and noticing all the trash, I looked up why the city has such an issue. Is it still true that the city doesn't actually fund street sweeping? And thank you for being an inspiring person.
Oh,
does the city of Philadelphia do street sweeping?
They are trying to start funding street sweeping, but in the Philadelphia way, excuse my French, they're just doing it ass backwards. They're just literally doing it ass backwards. And I'm getting to the point where I think they do it on purpose so they can say, see, we tried, it didn't work. Let's go back to what we were doing. So their version of street sweeping is spending $62 million on leaf blowers to blow everything into the street and then have the street sweeper come down the street. Now, I'll be quick. One, you spent $62 million on leaf blowers. Okay. Two, Philadelphia is one of the most growing cities with respiratory issues, meaning asthma, bronchitis, COPD. Why would you get gas guzzling exhaust leaf blowers to then go into every neighborhood and have everybody cough for the 2 hours that you're there while you blow dust and dirt and litter and trash? And then to make it even worse, they don't even care because they're sweeping. So now they're blowing rocks into windows. So they've already had people file reports of broken windows and dents in their car from blowing the trash and all that stuff into their cars. Where if it was me, spend that $62 million on payroll and hire maybe 2,000 at-risk youth or reentry citizens and pay them a living wage, 40 hours a week, to get a broom, a dustpan, and a can, and give them section of the city and just clean. And once a week, have somebody sweep down that block once a week. Because when we talk about a connection, if you see somebody cleaning your block with a broom and a dustpan, you get to know them, you learn their birthday, you learn who their kids are, you start making, so now when you're walking down your block, before you throw it on the ground, you go, you know what, Jerry's gonna be here next week, and it's disrespectful for me to throw this on the ground. That's how I would have spent the $62 million.
Sounds like you're running for mayor.
I don't know, it's a lot of red tape. And they're not allowed to do a lot of stuff. I don't know. And I cuss a lot. I'm really good. So that is Philadelphia's version of street sweeping.
And I've seen it firsthand. Somebody wrote that they have only ever seen street sweepers in Old City. I think that's kind of true. And
the mayor has his new pilot out that just launched in November, where he's doing it in like 14 neighborhoods.
Okay.
But it's like Germantown, Mount Airy, West Oakland, like that. You really don't.
All the fancy places.
Yeah, go to Kensington or go to Southwest. That's where you can see some stuff.
But I saw people actually blowing spotted lantern flies, so you know, into the street to be swept up. That was fun to walk along that.
Yeah, and that's going to be the #1 stat. Not how many car windows were broken, not how much actual trash was picked up. We are getting rid of lantern flies.
Yep. All right, so Ileana Weinstein asks, you said you had a curriculum for 5th graders to write to elected officials about dumping. Can you, are those resources available for you to share? Or, how are you getting those out to people? She actually teaches in the Bronx in a school ecology program.
Well, it is a fee for service curriculum. So Friend Select paid me for my curriculum, but it's basically, it could be 4 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on how much time I have. And I take them through the phases of organizing. So 1 is planning and identifying a spot. 2 is getting details and writing a description of the trash. 3 is contacting the elected officials and the community, letting them know that you're going to be there. 4 is branding and social media and getting the word out and creating a buzz around your event. 5 is the 5th graders they've picked 4 or 5 students who are their speakers or they're like their representatives. So they're the only ones the media is allowed to talk to at the day of the event. So because they understand everything. So there's only and then we have like 5.5 is people are actually writing what the kids are going to say. So we have kids writing for kids what they're going to say so that we're always on brand. As I teach them, like on brand is like your key. Anytime I walk into the class, they go on brand. And then like 6 is execution. So 6 is making sure we have our supplies, how many people. The new thing is a sign-in sheet. So we get a sign made with a QR code. This is a little secret, but I'll give you this one. I get a QR code made on a sign, and the sign sits at the top of the cleanup. And everybody who comes to the cleanup has to check in on the QR code. They put their name, they put their email, and they put their zip code. And the reason they put their zip code is my friend who works in tech, he then creates a digital map. So I can then show the kids how many different people came to their cleanup, So how many people from this zip code, that zip code, different parts of the city came to their cleanup. And then if they miss one, their next cleanup, they can make sure they go drop information and stuff so that we get an all-inclusive participation next time. So that's like, but it's on a 5th grade level. So you can imagine what 5th grade flyers look like. and I'm teaching them how to use Canva. And they love it. These kids care. Like our first conversation, it went left, but didn't go left, but the teachers allowed me. We started talking about systemic racism because these kids who go to Friend Select, they're paying like $50,000 a year. They don't understand really what it is to live on a dirty block. Like one girl was like, oh yeah, my mom drives me in. And I was like, well, what car does your mom drive? Well, my mom drives a Tesla. I'm like, okay, she has no connection to the kid who walks to school in North Philly through trash. His mom didn't pack him lunch, and the only meal he's going to eat today is at school. So I had to kind of start there like, well, guys, first you got to understand that you guys are in a really great situation and that there are other kids who are not in such a good situation. And of course, fifth graders, well, how come? Okay, well, let's talk about demographics. Let's talk about that. So literally we were talking about systemic and even economical racism. Like, and they were just like, oh, that's messed up. I was like, but it's on you guys to change it when you get older. I'm gonna try to change a little bit. You gotta be my backup though. And so it's like, but having fifth graders talk about all these things is just like, it gives me hope that one day, I'm sorry, what did I say? Black and brown people are not what? I'm sorry. Let's see. Yes, they are. And I say this, it's funny. I have like 3 or 4 Black kids in my class, and I tell them that environmental justice is a privilege. People who care about the environment more than likely have the opportunity to, because they're not worrying about how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to feed their kids, how they're going to, where they're going to live next month, if they're going to make rent. Like all of those things push environmental justice lower on a lot of Black and brown to-do lists. And that's why I say, if we were to give them resources and even the playing field, you would see the masses of brown and Black neighborhoods caring about the environment because all of their basic human needs have been met.
So I guess to further that person's question, your curriculum is kind of in your head, so you go and teach it. It's not like written down, because people here will buy stuff. We will. We don't make a lot of money, but we buy quality. So
it's half and half. It's okay. Half written down, just my key points, but I like to teach it myself.
Gotcha.
Because I just love kids so much, and I just love their interacting with kids. I just love talking to them. So, but I am doing it virtually with one school. I am doing it virtually with one school where I get on Zoom in front of the class and I share my screen, and they all are like writing notes and stuff, and then I give them homework, and then they come back. So Friend Select was a little bit harder because it was once a month because of their schedule. I like to do like 6 weeks in a row, like once a week in a row, and then we could plan the cleanup. But Kelly, we can talk. I can see if I can drum something up for you.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of people here that would help you write it in curriculum form too, and
I will take
we work on grants to make that happen, right?
Let's do it. I built my whole brand on collaboration, so you'll never see me shy away from a collab.
All right. We've got a couple questions here, Terrell, about how much of what you pick up is maybe reusable or repairable. Have you ever taken any of the materials to a place like TerraCycle, or sorted the garbage? Like I saw a lot of rocks and cement in that last batch. Just questions around that kind of, what's in the trash, I guess.
Yeah. So it's so hard because it takes a lot, and I want to get to a point where I'm separating the glass from the rocks, from the dirt, from the actual furniture and tires. But just where I am in my process right now as my cleanups, and I only have 2 people that help me, and I have a working board. I like to joke, my working board has work to do. Like they all have 9-to-5 jobs, but they also spend any extra moment that they have to support me. So I never want to give them too much. But we're trying to figure out a way to get to that point where at my cleanup, there's bins And if you find glass, you drop it in this glass. And if you find this, you drop it in here. So I've reached out to a couple of companies who do that, like TerraCycle, United by Blue. And I have a meeting with Subaru tomorrow. So I'm trying to figure it out. It's just, again, I'm a baby in this space. My anniversary for my cleanups was January 6th. So I just hit a year of organizing cleanup. So I'm getting there. I'm slowly but surely, baby steps.
Yeah, and I know from experience too that that separating, sometimes the recyclables are too dirty, and like in New Jersey, the utilities authority won't take them if they're jammed with mud and things like that. So it is a challenge, but it's an interesting question, especially if you have a lot of construction type debris that people are dumping on the streets and things like that. I can't see hands raised. Let me click through here, see if there's any more questions or if anyone's typing. Oh yes, so my friend Ben Rich, who lives one town over from me, actually said here in New Jersey, a lot of towns actually have laws against using gas-powered leaf blowers during certain times. Like, you're not allowed to use them this time of year, and there's decibel issues as well, like because of how loud they are, not only the air quality.
And like that's another thing. Like one of the biggest infirmaries is in Chester. And that neighborhood, they've been like suing that infirmary for like 10 years because the air quality is like 35% less than everywhere else in Chester. So, but that's that whole buy-in thing though. Like, the city of Chester has to buy in to clean air in order for them to figure out a new way, because it's going to cost money. We all know it's going to cost money to figure out clean ways. And that's where we always, as a government, they fall short. They fall short but they'll spend money on a development. So.
Right. We have an interesting question here, and I think I actually know the answer to this one. So I'll answer it, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. But so Philip Falcone asked, is getting people outside, like just outside, like an accomplishment too? So I guess the notion is that people don't like to be outdoors. But I think that goes to your buy-in, to your community buy-in, right? Because you're not taking them somewhere else to clean up someone else's garbage, right? It's their community, their street, what they see.
Literally.
So they're going to get outside, right?
I pitch it in a way where I just said in a recent interview, like, I know neighborhoods are important, but like on this topic, just don't tell me what neighborhood you're from. Do you live in Philly? Okay, so this is a part of Philly. If you live in Philly, you're for Philly. You're for Philly. If you're from north, south, west, southwest, all the Oak Lanes, northeast, Center City, Frankfurt, you're for Philly. So if there's a part of Philly that needs Philly love, then that is your responsibility to show it. So that's how I get people out. I'm just like, it's not about this person being from here and that person being from here. Is that if you love Philly and you think that Philly hasn't reached its full potential as a city yet because of trash, like, are we really going to let trash be the reason why Philly's not as dope as it could be? And everyone, I mean, when I say that speech, everyone's like, give me a broom.
Excellent. We've already had people sign up for your next volunteer cleanup, or your volunteer cleanup list. So
okay, cool. Yeah. No, I think my next cleanup is going to be January 29th. Councilman Derek Green here in Philly called me and literally told me the streets department is ignoring him and won't answer his emails and calls. So he reached out to me so we could organize a cleanup.
Excellent. That's excellent. So, someone asked, have you reached out to Ann Marchione, one of our award winners tonight, said, have you reached out to local churches and green teams within the city?
A few churches, and by green teams, do you mean like sustainability, like nonprofits and stuff, or?
Yeah, or Yeah, I mean, here in New Jersey, we have sustainable jersey. So
or like
towns can be,
PHS,
like they're like, like sustainability clubs.
So I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know about none of these clubs until after I started, and then they all started popping up. So now there's like there's now neighborhoods have, because I challenge neighborhoods to create their own clean team. So I'm not gonna take credit because I don't know the actual thing, but I think I've seen 9 clean teams start after I started Your Favorite Trash Man. So there's a Roxborough, there's a Cobbs Creek, there's a Fishtown, there's a Kensington, so they're all like doing things. When it comes to the churches, like there was a church yesterday who was there, and I talked to the bishop, and he let the congregation know that we were coming and everything. And then like my church, the church I go to, we do cleanups all the time. Philly's a little political when it comes to huge churches. So there's Enon Tabernacle, who's like Dr. Wallace. I mean, you gotta probably stand in line and give blood to get an email from him. So, and I personally am not a fan of that, because I feel like with or without you, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
So I'm not gonna lie, I've been really blessed to have people reach out to me most of the times. There's rarely a time where I reach out and they say no. So I've been really blessed, and I'm really humbled at that retrospect, but I don't chase the names because I know what comes along with it. I just always push my mission first, and then I always give responsibility, because if you this big wig and this is in your district, or this is at your church, or this is by your house, and you this big wig, why are people calling me to clean it?
Right. I gotcha.
So
excellent. Yeah. And I know Philadelphia also has some community gardens as well.
Yeah, we have a whole Keep Philadelphia Beautiful community.
Yeah.
And there's some nonprofits that I really love, like North Philly Peace Park, where they actually work with communities and turning the like vacant lots on their block into green spaces. And like one of my initiatives this year is, that's why I'm meeting with Subaru. I'll wish me luck tomorrow. Everybody pray for me. I'm meeting with Subaru tomorrow to pitch them on an Earth Day walk. There's never been an Earth Day walk in Philadelphia. And my goal is, for every person that completes the walk, Subaru agrees to plant a tree in a brown and black neighborhood.
Cool.
So if I can get 1,000 people to do this 5K walk, Subaru will plant 1,000 trees. So that's my goal. That's my pitch for them tomorrow. But also a bigger thing is they because their headquarters is in Camden.
Yep.
So they want to do an event where it's Camden, Chester, and Philly. And so I'm trying to coordinate what I call a triangle cleanup. We're on the same day at the same time, and those 3 spots, everyone's doing a cleanup, and we combine our weight together to see how much trash we could pick up in one day in 3 different spots of the world.
Awesome. Well, you just made another connection, because we've had up to 80 people on this call, and I know that there's probably at least 30 of us that have done work in Camden. So we can get you some connections there, and probably Chester too. So we have a question. First of all, well, New Jersey just enacted a plastic straw ban, for what it's worth. And in May, we have a plastic bag ban. Does Pennsylvania or the city of Philadelphia have anything like that?
Yeah, we have a plastic bag ban. It just went into effect October 1st of last year.
Okay.
And most people are switching to it. Some are a little late, Wawa and Rite Aid, but I'm not calling them out. Just saying. And I mean, my kids love it. We go buy the little reusable tote bags, and everybody has their personal bag. So, but these are all baby steps. These are
No, I was just asking. I was curious because someone here had asked. I didn't know if Pennsylvania or Philly had one. And then, so did with all the fundraisers that you did, the 32,000 that you raised, were you able to get sufficient PPE, or did that kind of?
Yeah, there's a video on my Instagram of a truck, 3 trucks coming to the sanitation yard, unloading pallets of cleaning supplies, KN95s, bleach, wipes. And then I went on the Kelly Clarkson show, and she surprised me and gave me 10,000 masks and $5,000 to buy more cleaning supplies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've been chatting for a while. I will encourage everyone, if you all have more questions for Terrell, I'll leave the chat open for a little while, and I will make sure that he gets, any pressing questions that you have for him. And, anyone who thinks they might have a connection to help him do his work. We do have a lot of South Jersey folks, and I'm sure some folks from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area on the call today. So I can connect.
Okay, yeah, my email address is I can put my email address in the chat. It is very simple. It is literally your fave trash man at gmail.com.
You're an open book, Terrell.
I am I'm very simple.
And I read about you in Philadelphia Magazine, but our Oak Tree Award, so that goes to a member who is kind of a solid foundation of the organization. Because like you, we have a working board as well. Went to Laura Mccluskey, who I understand her daughter. Laura, what's your daughter's name? You can unmute.
Yeah, Jennifer DeVore.
Oh yeah,
from Philly. Yeah,
yeah.
That's my girl. Yes, and she told us about you. So.
Oh yeah, small world.
Right?
It is a small world. Yeah, I'll tell her all about tonight. She's very excited that you did this with us.
Yeah,
so
well,
thank you so much. Yeah.
Good folks know good folks, right?
Absolutely. Well, you talked about block captains, and I know that she's a block captain. So, yeah. So I'll hopefully run into you at some point in Philadelphia as well.
Yeah, you guys are always welcome to my cleanups. I have music. Yesterday, my guy Nick that owns Saxby Coffee. Saxby's came out and brought us some coffee and hot chocolate. So we was having fun yesterday.
Excellent. I've never done music. I've done food, but never music. That's
I cannot clean without music. Our first cleanup, I used to have T-Mobile as a sponsor, but I used my whole sponsor budget, my year's sponsor budget in 6 months. But T-Mobile used to like, what can I do? And I was like, you guys get me a DJ, that's all you gotta pay for. And so for like the first 6 months of my cleanup, they gave me a DJ every time, and it was just so much fun.
That's awesome. Well, everyone, you guys can all unmute, and let's give Terrell a warm applause. Thank you so much. Your inspiring words.
Thank you.
And,
absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Just a few.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
And keep up the good work.
Yes, thanks for not booing me. I appreciate it.
No, not at all. I don't know how to get Terrell off of Spotlight. Can someone help me? Because I have a few housekeeping items, I think.
Yep, you're on
Perfect.
there now.
So you can feel free to stay, Terrell, or go get dinner. But just reminder that for the rest of the conference, you're welcome in, and Terrell, I think I gave you those links. You're certainly welcome to any of our sessions. The PDF that Beth emailed all of you has live links in there. Each session is its own link. So it's not like last year where it was one link for everything. So each session is its own link, because we did pay this year. So we're hoping that you don't share those links out to continue to support Angie. And just make sure you log on a couple minutes early. And we have we have our silent auction, and just keep all the things in mind. And we look forward to seeing all of you in all of the wonderful sessions. And just thank you so much to everyone who has helped put this conference on so far. And Beth, if you're on still, did I miss anything, or are we good to go?
You got everything. Fantastic.
Excellent. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you in sessions tomorrow.
Hi, guys.
All right.
Stay safe. Thanks, Terrell.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks, Terrell.
Good night, Kelly.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Rick.
All the best,
Bye.
guys.
Nice job, Angie team. Thank you, Terrell.